So big week this week with the Super Bowl, but there was honestly a bigger topic this past weekend. I was almost asleep and I try to wake up as early as possible. And I check my phone. I don't know if you guys do this, but I check my phone for the time before I fall asleep because I'm like, how much longer do I have before I have to wake up? And I get a notification that Luka was traded and I couldn't believe it. I thought it was fake. I saw everybody say it was fake, and I'm still distraught by the entire thing. My question was, and I did a video about this, but what's the NFL equivalent of the Luka Doncic for Anthony Davis trade? Because I've done so many and I've seen so many, and I can't figure out an exact good one for it.
I think I got a good one.
All right, let's hear it.
It just came off the dome. So to me, we're looking at like cornerstone players kind of for both organizations. Like, let's be honest, AD's probably top 12, top 10, right? Borderline, but older, still kind of got a big contract. Then you're looking at Luka in his prime, just was going to command a huge, like $300 million supermax. So in my head, I'm thinking, okay, we just had a wide receiver in the league get paid big money on a team that was really, really good this year. Justin Jefferson. That was the first Luka comparison to me. Justin Jefferson. And then I immediately went to Mike Evans. I'm like, to me, older dude, still really, really good. Like, a lot of teams would be lucky to have him on their team. And then maybe you throw in like, because an NBA first is not the same as an NFL first. They're not.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
You're in top 15 pick in NFL. You want someone who's starting immediately. NBA, that's not the case. So it's like almost like a second or third round pick. That was the like first comparison that came to my mind.
Yeah, I mean, it's the reason why it's really tough is outside of the quarterback position. I mean, wide receivers and running backs obviously have a huge impact from a fantasy perspective. But like with the NBA and with basketball in general, there's only 5 guys on your team on the court at one time. So you have such a much bigger impact on the game. Like putting Luka, like switching Luka from one team to another team. Like you saw the Lakers odds, I think, went from 50-1 to 18-1. Like just like that. I was kind of on the same line as you, as thinking of wide receivers, Noah. I don't know if this is the same, but I personally saw Jamar Chase for Travis Kelce. That was my comparison because you've got a guy that's still arguably one of the best tight ends, but definitely, is on the downturn of his career, whereas Jamar might be the best player, at least best wide receiver in football. It's coming from a Vikings fan that is going to sit there and say that about Jamar Chase. So that was kind of what I came to. I do like the Mike Evans comparison too. If I was going to look at it from a quarterback standpoint, I would have to sit there and say like Jaden Daniels for Matthew Stafford, something like that. If I was going to compare,
yeah, that's pretty close. Yeah.
But yeah, it's tough. It's so tough to sit there and decipher because there's so many intricate parts of it as well. And then, like you said, the draft picks, a first round in the NBA is like
it's like a 2029.
I mean, OKC has like 37,000 first round picks for the next 4 years. So
that's
it's just
why
tough.
the NBA is so bad, because draft picks do not matter as much. Like they'll trade anything. My comparison, which I made a video about, was I did Patrick Mahomes in 2020. So the reason why I said Patrick Mahomes in 2020 is because he was 25 years old. He was known as the best quarterback in the NFL at that point, next to Brady, whatever you want to say. And he just lost to Tom Brady that year in the Super Bowl. Luka, one of the best players in the NBA, just lost in the NBA Finals. And I said they trade him to the 49ers in 2020 for Jimmy Garoppolo and Trent Williams. Now, the reason why I said that is because the reason why the Chiefs lost that game was because of the offensive line. And the reason why the Mavericks lost the NBA Finals was because of defense. So you're basically getting rid of a star, adding another one at a different position, and then adding somebody else who's a downgrade but isn't terrible. So I was like, that's more of a comparison to me just because of the age thing. But yeah, dude, I've never seen, I think it's the craziest trade in maybe sports history.
It's up there. The first thing my reaction was the same as everybody else. Is this fake? Like, that was the first thing that came to my mind. Like, is Shams had to get hacked? Like, there's no way Shams is going to tweet this out. Like, this has got to be a fake. And then little did we know it was 100% true. And apparently the Mavericks proposed the Lakers with the trade, which is
that's even more wild.
Like,
it makes no sense for the Mavericks, but at the same time, I've came over the past couple days to understand it.
It will if they win a championship in the next 2
years. Yes, but if they don't, it looks really bad. So they're putting all their chips in to Kyrie and AD, and I understand, like, you save the money, but, like, at the same time, you just risk 10 years for 3. So it's
but the NBA is so, and I'm trying to compare it to the NFL because this is an NFL podcast, guys, or show. The NBA is like the salary cap just doesn't mean as much in the NBA. I mean, you really only need like 7 impactful players. That's a healthy rotation. And then you want 1 or 2 guys that can come in. Like, you don't need, I mean, in the NFL, you need 21 pieces to be good. And then, like, offensive line, you better have 3 backups that are at least good enough to step in. Same with corners. Those dudes get hurt all the time. So the NBA is just like, it's just completely different. But I was comparing it to the Kevin Durant trade a few years back when the Suns acquired him with the Suns, because this is what was given up. It was 4 unprotected first-round picks, a 2028 first-round pick swap. That was just draft capital. And then you have Luka going crazy for AD, 1 first, and what, it was another player or something?
Yeah, why did they not do a bidding war? Or at least if they kept it all quiet, I think they should have made it loud. They should have said, hey, when he's available.
That's the reason why, though, too. They're just so fed up with Luka. They don't like his drinking. They don't like his conditioning. Shout out Noah drinking the Coors Light. They don't like anything with Luka when it comes to the Dr. Pepper. I thought it was a Coors Light can.
Dog, it's a Monday. Chill out.
I was like, bro is drinking right now? I wouldn't judge.
It looked like the mountains were blue from my perspective.
They're not. They're bright Dr. Pepper red.
But no, I think that was a big thing, was his conditioning and some of his off-the-court, social extracurriculars, I guess you can say. I think that played a part. I think the management was fed up with him.
It's just interesting because I think the NFL is a little bit less lenient with that. We see dudes who are like partiers or don't have hard work ethics. They kind of get kicked to the curb. I mean, you look at like AB, stuff like that. Le'Veon Bell, I know he had Gordon. Yeah, like dudes like that, which, rule changes kind of screwed Josh Gordon. But like that matters more in the NFL. You don't really see that in the NBA. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're normally allowed to be who they want to be as long as you show up and hoop. I mean, James Harden, like, every offseason. Yeah, every offseason, it's like James Harden's getting 45 pounds and he goes out and drops 50 on him. I mean, you look at the Bulls, they had, what's his name? Dennis Rodman. Like, dude was going out to Vegas and doing crack off hookers' assholes and coming in and playing. Like, they didn't care.
And then you got a guy like Johnny Manziel who just...
So it's kind of like, it's just weird for the Mavericks to stand on that hill when, like, the NBA never has. Never. Yeah. So, I don't know.
Absolutely.
It's crazy.
But I could not believe it. I still can't believe it. Like, just, I think that might make a change in the NBA. I also have a conspiracy that they made that trade because the ratings are terrible. I'm going to watch the Lakers now. Like, I am going to watch the Lakers. You're not going to watch the Lakers.
I'm not staying up till 2:00 on a Wednesday to watch the Lakers play the Sacramento Kings.
Guys, Maryland basketball is ranked 18. Watch college basketball instead.
Yeah, well, the Tar Heels just got their asses whipped by the Blue Devils. So.
Let's move on to Kellen more. I know that you guys have some things to say about this. The reason I'll go ahead and say this right off the bat. I know some people are skeptical about it. This division is shit. No offense, Noah. This division is not good. Like, if you're going to go to a division and try and win in your first or second year there, the NFC South is probably the spot that you want to go to. So my question is going to be, is this better for the Saints or for Kellen Moore?
Neither.
It's so bad.
It's so bad on both sides, man. Like, I don't know who would want the Saints job. You don't have quarterback figured out. Your cap space is abysmal. The only upside is you have to play the Bucks and Panthers and Falcons 6 times a year. That's really it.
Yeah, and even then, like, you basically have the same roster as this past year, this year, and probably the year after because you're stuck in these.
It will be healthier.
Healthy.
You're
Okay,
going to
so
get
if it's
Olave and Derek Carr back. I mean, that's at least
oh
something.
yeah,
Like Olave, Derek Carr, and Alvin Kamara is at
oh
least
yeah,
somewhat.
disgusting. Yeah,
I mean, it could be a lot worse.
So good
I
they
think
finished
the
in the top
division's getting
10
better.
like 4 years in a row.
I think the division's getting better, and also Derek Carr and that Saints offense was great for like 2 weeks, and then it really
one of those
fell
games
off.
was the Panthers.
And the other one was the Cowboys.
The two worst
so,
defenses in the league.
Yeah,
I'll say this. Although, like, I know the Panthers aren't great, the Falcons aren't great. The Bucs are decent. I mean, they're going to have, I think as long as Baker's there and there's weapons around him, they'll be decent. At least top of the division for where everyone stands now. But Michael Penix looked really good in Atlanta late. Bryce Young looked really good in Carolina late. And if I'm coming into a coaching position and I'm thinking I want to be here for the next 10 years, I don't know that I want to go in somewhere where I don't have the guy figured out for the next 10 years. And I'm looking at two opponents that like, okay, they could have real potential franchise QBs. So it's just, to me, that seems like a job that someone takes that's like, my career's on the ropes. I need to at least take something while I can.
If they go 3-3 in conference, let's say they go 3-3. They probably won't, but let's just hypothetically say it. They've also have home games against the Cardinals. San Fran, they'll probably lose. New England, the Jets, and the Giants.
The Jets are getting better.
The Patriots are getting better.
I mean, I think they are, but like that's not a like daunting home schedule. Like those.
Yeah, but we're looking at schedules a year in advance.
Sure.
Like we have no idea.
Here, let me tell you
why...
this: you two are looking at it from Minnesota Vikings perspective, and you're looking at it from the Baltimore Ravens perspective. To you, that schedule doesn't seem daunting. When your team is ass, it doesn't matter who's on the schedule.
That's also a good point.
The Panthers won 2 games in a row this year, and we had the Cowboys, and we're like, hell yeah, we're going to go in there and whip them. And then we laid an egg because that's what bad teams do. They don't perform well all the time.
And what has Kellen Moore done to like tell us that he's going to be a good head coach? He was terrible in Dallas. I mean, Mike McCarthy had to end up taking play calls.
If you were the Cowboys, would you rather have him or Schottenheimer?
I'm not going to lie. I'd rather take a swing on Schottenheimer because
I think he's a sitting duck.
I think here that's a different conversation. But at the same time, like at least with Schottenheimer, 1, you can pay him less, and 2, if it doesn't work out, you were not expected for it to work out. With Kellen Moore, you have higher expectations after what he just did with Philadelphia. And also, just because everybody's talking shit about Schottenheimer, I don't know shit about this guy. I know that he's been everywhere in the world, and somehow he got this job. For some reason, I feel like he's going to be great just because everybody's shitting on him. But that's another conversation. I just feel like every head coach who's like, oh, this guy's going to be terrible, they always end up pretty damn good. Like Nick Sirianni and even Dan Campbell at the time, people were questioning that. So,
speaking of which, I can't believe that Saints coaching staff from 2017. Have you looked at that?
No.
It's Sean Payton, obviously, Dan Campbell, Joe Lombardi, Joe Brady, Aaron Glenn, Dennis Allen. Like, that's a loaded staff. And they had arguably the best draft maybe ever that year as well when they had, who was it? It was Lattimore, Ramczyk, Marcus Williams, Alvin Kamara, Anzalone, and Trey Hendrickson.
Yeah. I also think
and now it's like gone. It's crazy.
They got nothing from it.
Yeah, I also think that it's proven now that the cap does exist and there are ramifications for it if you kick the can down the road, like Cleveland, which we'll get to in a second with Myles Garrett, and now the Saints, who are arguably the worst sitting franchise right now that you want to take over. So I just think it's bad for both sides. Like, it doesn't make any sense. I guess nobody else wanted the job. I mean, who would want that job? Like, I feel like it was the last option thing. Like, they needed a name. So, like, Kellen Moore. But he's just going to get fired in 2 years. Like, it's written on the wall.
That's what you got to do. Again, coming from a Panthers fan, after the whole Matt Rule era, we had the number 1 draft pick. So, there's some hope there. You know, you're at least thinking, okay, I can come in here and be my guy. So many people passed over us. We had to settle for Frank Reich. That's who we're settling for. And
okay, to be fair, I thought that was a great hire.
Everyone did.
He a terp.
But I mean, we're talking about a dude who was on the backside of his career who kind of needed a prove it type deal. You know what I'm saying? Like, It wasn't great in Indy at the back half, trying to fill the gap from Andrew Luck with vets. But so he comes in, doesn't look great, and then the next year you're either okay, are we going to go back to some guy who needs to prove it, or are we going to go young and hopefully discover a hidden gem? and Dave Canales. So those are really your only two options. It's like you're not a very favorable place to land.
Yeah. So I wanted to get into this just because I have to talk about it. This one really hurts deep down. And
yeah, sure.
Yeah. So Justin Tucker, obviously. Yeah, this sucks, man. I can't believe it. But if you don't know what happened with Justin Tucker, 9 massage therapists in Baltimore have accused Justin Tucker of inappropriate behavior that allegedly occurred during the 2012 to 2016 time period. And so, a little bit about me. Justin Tucker has been like my favorite Ravens player since I was a child. I've met this guy 4 different times. When I worked for the Ravens, I've ran into him multiple times. He signed pictures of me and him together. Like like I have had personal experiences with him. So now it's weird because now I'm like, dude, I've touched this dude like during that time frame. Like I feel gross.
You know what they say, man? Never meet your heroes.
But yeah, facts. Like the one thing that I will kind of take away from this is like, what? Like, do you guys think that Baltimore knew? Like, I feel like 100%, it's been
because I have connections inside the Ravens that have said that, like, they said this a year and a half ago.
Yeah, a lot of people have been saying that
was happening, and it was only a matter of time before it came out. And you gotta wonder, it had to weigh on the guy. Like that, like they're just sitting there hinting, "Hey, this is going to come out. This is going to come out." And
maybe that's why he was pooped this year.
That's what affected his play on the field. Like, I mean, you have to imagine it takes a psychological toll on you at some point. But yeah, I absolutely think the Ravens knew, and that is what the problem is, and that's where Goodell is going to get involved.
And that's where I think that the Ravens might have to move on from from coaches, from executives. Like, it depends how bad it really was, because that's such a terrible look for an organization who's known to such a high standard. I just don't know if they can do it, because that is franchise altering at that point. Even though it's probably deserved, it's 100% deserved if he's found guilty. But I mean, if you're him and Justin Tucker, John Harbaugh and Justin Tucker are like boys. Like
they basically have been there almost the same exact time. I mean,
yeah, it was close.
A little bit earlier, but
they're the only. I think Tucker's the last one from that Super Bowl team at this point. Yeah, so he's the longest tenured Raven, I believe. So I don't know. I don't know if they'll fire Harbaugh or fire Eric DeCosta or what's going to happen. But if they find something, if the NFL finds something, I'm really nervous on the fines and what's to come next for that.
At least Todd Monken got an extension.
Yeah, good Ravens news coming out. I was really excited about that.
I like I said, I think it's, you know, how he preaches a lot of things about himself, like in the public, like being this devout Christian, and like you always thought that he was just this great guy and this great person.
Married,
like,
kids.
I'm not gonna say it was the last person I could have ever imagined, but it was probably top 5 or top 10. Like I was like, wait, this guy? Like, no way. And yeah, I mean, from what I've been reading, like I said, there haven't been any, nothing's been, no charges have been pressed against him.
But they can at this point. I don't think they can because it's past.
Because it was in the past.
I don't know how the law works, so don't take my advice on this, but apparently it's past a certain, after a certain amount of years, you can't, can't press charges.
Yeah.
I'm
surprised they haven't cut him yet. That makes me feel like there's something deeper here, because the Ravens have cut people very quickly because of this stuff. So
I love the nickname Justin Tugger, though. Like, that's just too good. Like, you gotta roll with that one. That's got to be fantasy names all across the board next year for sure.
I want to make a disclaimer that nothing about this scenario is funny. Our hearts go out to the massage therapists who were affected by Justin Tucker's inappropriate behavior.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say what I want to say.
So yeah,
we'll leave it at that. All right, Chip Kelly. I don't have a lot on Chip Kelly. You know, getting hired to be the OC for Vegas. I think that I thought he did a great job at Ohio State down the stretch. That offense was clicking after they lost to Michigan. So I think that I do think he's got an innovative mind. I still think there is some thunder there, but you look at his history in the NFL, and it just hasn't worked out. Do you guys think this is going to be any different?
For me, it's more of when I think coaches, I always think cultural fit before anything. It's different with coordinators because obviously they're more implementing a scheme than they are a culture. And that is more what I'm worried about with Chip Kelly than anything, because Chip Kelly's a big name. Like, that's not like he's larger physically and name wise than most coordinators are. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I'm just concerned with what does it bring with Chip Kelly being a coordinator and not the head coach for a team somewhere type thing.
Yeah. I also think the Raiders had to make this move because of last year with Cliff Kingsbury, that they had him in the bag and then they wouldn't pay up for Cliff Kingsbury last second. Washington got him, and now look what they're doing. Now, granted, they have Jaden Daniels, so that helps. But my assumption is that the Raiders are going to take a quarterback, and they wanted a college-like offensive coordinator just like Jaden Daniels. I think they're taking the same exact approach as Washington. Washington went and got Dan Quinn, and then they went and got Cliff Kingsbury. Now you have Pete Carroll, and now you get Chip Kelly. So I personally think they're on the right track. So I don't hate it because they're trying to mimic what has worked. And I can't hate a team for actually trying to fix their ways of hiring terrible offensive coordinators / head coaches. So I like it.
Do you think Shedeur is going to have the same exact impact that Jaden had?
I don't know.
I mean, they're going to draft him. They're gonna, if he's there, they're going to draft him.
What pick do the Raiders? I don't even know.
They're six.
Six. I don't even know if he'll fall there.
So what are we assuming? Cam is. We're assuming Cam's going 1. Okay.
I think he might go 2. I think Carter might go 1.
I just make quarterbacks. I just make quarterbacks.
Oh,
yeah. Ward will go 1. I don't know. That's the problem. Like, what do the Raiders do? Even though they have this all-star staff of coaches, if you don't have a quarterback, you ain't shit. Like, it's been proven in the NFL. So, like, hopefully they have a brand new GM, new head coach. I would assume they're going to draft some kind of quarterback because I just don't see them doing the same exact approach as what they've done in the past with Jimmy Garoppolo, Gardner Minshew. I don't know. So, who knows? I think Chip Kelly could do a damn good job, though, with them.
I think there are some interesting pieces, on that. I mean, obviously Brock Bowers. Like, you've got arguably he might be the best tight end in football, right there. And I know he was a rookie last year, but you've got that in its own right is something to build off of, especially like we said, if you can get a quarterback. If you can get a quarterback and you've got him there, you need one more wide receiver, maybe get a little bit on the line, but the line's not terrible.
I don't think the Raiders are that far off from being a playoff contender. Playoff contender, not Super Bowl contender. I really do think. I thought division. This. I agree, and that division is getting really good.
Let's be real. It's just
AFC in general. But I don't think the Raiders have talent. Like, their defensive line healthy. Christian Wilkins, Max Crosby, they're kind of stacked.
Are we assuming Crosby's going to be there next year? Is that the assumption we're taking?
I think that there's more motive for him to stay now with Pete Carroll coming in compared to where it was 3 weeks to a month ago.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think Tom Brady is a big factor in that too. I think Brady we all know he's playing the cards right now. And you know that Max Crosby is going to trust the GOAT. Well, maybe not the GOAT after this upcoming weekend, but we can have that discussion here in a second. But yeah, I don't mind it at all. Now, one thing I did, I didn't watch it, but did you guys watch the Pro Bowl at all?
Nope.
Anything?
No.
Okay.
Nope.
Okay. I'm just curious, how would you guys fix it? Because it's awful.
Get rid of it. Like, I personally would just give the rewards to the guys and be like, congrats, you were a Pro Bowler. And then just not, like, if you want to do like a skills competition, do it, but stop hyping it up as a game. Because it's not a game. It really is. It is unequivocally the worst all-star format game of any of the big four sports. by far. And the slam dunk competition has not been that great, but at least
I don't know. The NBA is kind of bad, dude.
There's now something where listeners correct me on this, but there's now something that there's an incentive that toward the end of the game, like the winning team does get something for winning the game. And I know hockey actually they've done it where they're doing it by, I think, by divisions now. It's how they're doing that. So they've incorporated a different format. And baseball is still, like, the home run derby is awesome. Like, everybody watches a home run derby.
Yeah, baseball's probably the best.
Yes,
baseball is
100%.
the best because it's non-contact.
Yeah.
It's literally
also,
non-contact.
Here's the kicker. All of those are in the middle of the season. The NFL is the only one that does it at the end of the season when everybody is just like, but A, your team's in the Super Bowl, or B, you've stopped really.
Yeah, but if you do it in the middle of the season, you have an actual game.
You just can't.
Which is why you don't have it. Why you just don't? You get rid of this as a whole. It's nobody go. I was looking at the attendance yesterday. Awful.
Yeah.
Well, there was nobody there.
Well, I think part of the problem. So there are two issues that I have. Is one, it's not in Hawaii anymore. I think that was a huge incentive for people because Orlando, sure. I mean, you can go to Orlando whenever you want. Hawaii's a little bit better, an all-inclusive trip with your family, something new. I'm sure they all go to Disney World, but, Hawaii is more for adults at that point. And the second problem that I have is awarding Pro Bowlers who are alternates. That's been my biggest issue of this entire thing. We have Tyler Huntley is technically a Pro Bowler on his resume. Drake May is now a Pro Bowler on his resume. I don't care what they do. Yes. Russell Wilson's a Pro Bowler, and I don't care who it is. I understand that people are going to opt out, but do not award them on their stat sheet in NFL history that they were a Pro Bowler, because now you have the problem of when you get to the Hall of Fame and you're looking at Russell Wilson, it's like, well, Russell Wilson was, had this Pro Bowl in 2024 and he was 35 years old.
Yeah, Pro Bowler.
I just think that's ridiculous.
We don't do it for all pros. We have all pros and that's it. There's no replacements if somebody can't be an all pro. And if you want to invite them to, okay, here's what I'm getting at. If you want to invite them to the game to play in the Pro Bowl, that's fine, but they should not get the accolade. They should not be labeled as a Pro Bowler. So, for instance, Drake May, we're going to invite you to the Pro Bowl, but you're not a Pro Bowler. But, at that point, it's like, well, I played in the Pro Bowl. Wasn't I a Pro Bowler? It's that's why I just say they need to just do a skills competition and leave it at that.
Dude, they used to have so many great skills competitions.
Oh, yeah, dude.
Longest throw.
Bledsoe and Favre and those guys just slinging it. Oh, that was the best.
Yeah.
It was so much better.
Now we get to watch Sam Darnold throw it, moving robots.
Hey.
Wait, was he there?
Easy. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Good for Darnold. Really happy for him.
They're saying that he was catching fire or something that Eli was talking about.
Yeah.
I don't know. Myles Garrett. Big.
I'm so happy. You have no idea how happy I am, Tyler. You have no idea. This man has been he's been way better. To me, he's better than TJ Watt. Holy shit. Now we don't have to deal with him. Dude, we can actually beat the Browns twice a year now because he wins games.
But now things are going to get really nasty because the Browns have came out and said they're not trading him. So,
they'll trade him.
I mean, they will, but it's the relationship is completely.
Oh, it'll be the whole not coming to training camp and then where are we at 2 weeks in? He's been fined $750K. Where's he gonna go? Oh, they're gonna keep him all year. He's gonna sit, and then they'll trade him for 2 firsts, and it'll be over.
I gotta think the immediate pick for me for where he's gonna go is Washington. That's the first team that came to my mind that I was like, yep, that's a team that needs the edge rusher, and what better one in football to get than Myles Garrett? What do you guys think? Do you guys have that same vision, or what team really sticks out to you that is like, hey, if this team goes out and gets him, they're going to be something to reckon with?
Well, you're not going to like me and Noah's answer. I already know Noah's answer is Carolina.
No, it's not, seriously. No.
Pitch me Carolina. If I was Myles Garrett and I came out and said, I want to win and compete, how would Carolina pitch me?
Here's how I would do it. Okay, first of all, you're sitting on the same defensive line as Derek Brown, who led the league in tackles last year. He's not known for interior pressure, but he blows up run games. Okay, so he is a wrecking ball in the middle. You've got a cornerback 1 on the edges, who's only going to get better because you're there. J.C. Horn, okay? You've got Shaq Thompson coming back. So the defensive bones are there. I know we were terrible this year on defense, but the bones are there. We were missing a lot of key players down late. You got a young QB who played well. Depending on what draft.
Best nickname in football, by the way.
Yeah.
Carolina Reaper.
Yeah, that's sick.
Carolina Reaper.
Yeah, that's what they were calling. Dude, like every team we beat.
Bryce Young?
Yeah.
That's fire.
Bro, we beat the Saints. They fire their head coach. We beat the Giants. They trade Daniel Jones. He was going in and just cleaning people out, bro.
Bro thought he lost his job, but took other people's jobs.
It's the Reaper door meme or whatever.
Yeah, you'll have to pull it up. I can't believe you haven't seen that. Yeah. So I mean, and you're in probably the worst division in football, where really the only thing separating all of these teams is 1 or 2 moves. That's only separating the Bucs, the Falcons, the Panthers, and the Saints. Minus the Saints, I just think they're going to be bad. But
all right, let me pitch you on this then. That's a pretty good pitch, honestly. It's not as bad of a situation as the past. I just feel like he might want to go to an established winning culture.
He won't come to Carolina.
Okay. This is going to sound crazy, and I thought it was crazy at first too, and I'm going to be a little bit biased here. But Baltimore.
God.
Hold on. Let me explain. Okay, let me give you a scenario. Right, the teams that make the most sense is Washington, Buffalo. Who else would you guys put on there?
You think he's going to go from Deshaun to Justin Tucker?
Here, can you hear me out? Tell me what teams make the most sense.
Hey, he said Deshaun was a good guy. He did.
All right, continue.
Anyway, so hear me out. There's one thing that Baltimore does have that not any other team that are contenders have that they can trade, and that's a young pass rusher that you can replace Myles Garrett with. The Ravens have that. Odafe Oweh. He just had 10-plus sacks this year. He's on his 5th-year option. He's very cheap. He is very talented. A little bit, overrated. He was a first-round pick. He played his ass off this year, great in the run game. You give up, and I know it's in division, but if you give up 2 first-round picks and Odafe Oweh, and you get cheaper without getting, without having nobody on the edge, you have a future at edge now. I feel like that is more enticing than Buffalo, who has no player to offer the Browns that is young and talented and good enough to replace Myles Garrett, at least for the time being. Nobody can replace Myles Garrett, but Odafe can at least bring them some young talent on the outside. It makes a lot of sense to me. And I think they'd actually do it if Baltimore gives up the best offer because they messed up so bad with Deshaun Watson.
So what would the official offer be again? Oweh and what else?
Oweh and 2 firsts. It'd be this year and next year. And if you want to, Baltimore has the most picks in the NFL draft coming up this year after the comp picks. They'll have 11. So if you want to throw in the third, 2 to over... Listen, Baltimore needs to make a splashy play at this point because there's nothing else they can do. Like, at this point, this is a franchise-altering move that can take you over the top, and what Baltimore has missed and why they're not making Super Bowls is a playmaker on defense that can actually turn the ball over. They don't have anybody except for Marlon Humphrey who can actually turn the ball over. So I think they'd do it. I really do think they'd sell their souls for Myles Garrett. And he's cheap. He's not expensive.
I like Buffalo better, but hey.
What can Buffalo offer though? That's what I keep coming. They don't have the cap space. They're $6 million over the cap already. They have Von Miller already on the dumbest contract, one of the dumbest contracts in NFL history.
It's bad.
It's really bad. Signing a 30-year-old, 32-year-old pass rusher to 6 years, $100 million. Like, that is Albert Hainsworth. Is that who it was? Who? Yeah. No, not Albert Hainsworth. What was his name? The guy from Washington. Do you guys remember that deal?
Albert Hainsworth. Yeah.
Is that who that was? Yeah, he said it reminds me of that.
One of the dirtiest players in NFL history.
Yeah, but I don't think Buffalo. I think Buffalo gets worse. I don't think they make that.
So you think if it comes down to Buffalo and Baltimore, he'll take Baltimore and my pitch would be, we're 2-0 against them in the playoffs.
No. I mean, for the Browns, it's like if it's the same exact offer, then absolutely you're going to Buffalo. But if Baltimore Baltimore has the assets to do it, is what I'm saying. Will they do it? It depends how close they think they are, which I think they're pretty close. Just saying, throwing it out there.
All right. I think we've had enough talk about players not playing this weekend. Let's talk about the big game, boys.
Who really cares?
I do.
Yeah.
I'm
cares?
I'm so excited. I actually am more excited for this Super Bowl than I have been like the past probably 2 or 3.
Where does this rank for you? Like in your lifetime, where the anticipation and the hype level, where does the Super Bowl rank? Because I know where it ranks for me, so I want to hear you both of yours first.
Middle of the pack.
Gonna say,
like middle of the pack, probably. I mean,
it's better than Niners Chiefs last year.
I hate the
even
Niners,
beforehand.
Yeah.
I just didn't.
Too.
Yeah, but the thing about the Eagles is we've seen this happen before. Like we have seen almost the exact same teams, almost except for like Saquon and so you're adding more stars to an already 38-35 football game. Give it to me every single week. I think we're going to have fireworks, and I think it's going to be one of the best Super Bowls we've ever seen. I really do, because that first one was already a classic that nobody talks about, but it will go down as a classic, and this one will be a classic as well.
I mean, like if we're talking like, I think narratives are what are big for me in like memorable Super Bowls. Like the Bengals-Rams Super Bowl leading up to it was like I was pumped for that Super Bowl because we were going to get to see a young quarterback win his first one or Matt Stafford win his first one. And so like the narratives leading up to it are just really good. The year the Eagles went and played the Patriots with Nick Foles on fire in the playoffs, that was one year I was pulling for the Eagles because the narrative was just really fun. What's their narrative this year? The narrative this
you have
year,
a three-peat.
The narrative is the three-peat.
The first ever.
The three-peat, but most people hate the Chiefs. That's the narrative. Or the Eagles that offensively have not been extremely fun to watch outside of Saquon Barkley jumping over someone backwards and then playing really good defense. That's the narrative so far.
I personally look at this as top 3.
Yeah,
and
I'm really
excited. The reason
excited.
is because of the three-peat, but it's also you facing a team that you just faced to start the run in the three-peat. I think that is something that just resonates with a storyline. I have it behind the Mahomes Brady Super Bowl, and I had it behind the Patriots undefeated season. That wasn't undefeated season Super Bowl. Like that going into that game, that was the most anticipated Super Bowl of all time. And in my lifetime. And the reason being is because you had an undefeated team going up against a team that almost ruined that undefeated streak in the final week of the season, or second to final week of the season. So that one ranks up there, but this is right up there. I mean, you've got a team going for a three-peat, and then, like I said, they're facing a team that's going for their second Super Bowl in, was it 7 or 8 years? Their third Super Bowl appearance in the last 7 or 8 years. And arguably, in my opinion, it could be, if the Eagles win, the most dysfunctional coach and quarterback combo to ever win a Super Bowl.
Do we still believe that Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts are dysfunctional? I don't know if I believe that at this point.
I do. I still don't think that they like. He literally said, "Oh, he took the straitjacket off." I mean, it's like, "Oh, so you're saying you were?" A liability.
I think that's thrown out of context. I also think they troll the media. I really do think that. I mean, go back to whenever it was when Jalen Hurts and AJ Brown were having that little brief or whatever. And the very next week, A.J. Brown had like 150 and 2 touchdowns, and Jalen Hurts comes down and says, "Is that what you guys want to see?" Like, I really do think it's all a ploy and a joke. I do think in the past there was something, but I think it's figured out at this point.
I think it's a ploy if you don't get, like, you're giving them reason to think that. Like, you're showcasing and doing some things to give the media the arsenal to have that narrative and to create this ploy. Like, Nick Sirianni going into the season, in my opinion, was on the hot seat. How do you guys feel?
I mean, we said going into the playoffs, if they have a first round exit, that it's hot. So I mean, I think for that to happen.
But now it's really cool though. But now it's like there's no chance he gets fired.
But
like, even if they lose.
I get what you're saying is, like, they're just playing into the media's fire, but these guys aren't going out and having drinks or going out to dinner and doing things outside of football.
You know that?
I mean, I don't, but I would imagine, like, they just, It does not seem like they are the best of friends. I'll put it to you like that.
Yeah, but I don't think neither was Brady and Belichick. I mean, and they won, what, 5?
So
together?
We're comparing Nick Sirianni to Bill Belichick.
No, I'm not saying it's the same thing, but I'm saying you don't have to have a buddy. I mean, if you go and watch the Dynasty, they'll tell you straight up, we didn't like each other. But and they still won Super Bowls. And the Eagles are winning.
But have they won a Super Bowl with those
So
two?
If they win, all of it's solved.
I don't know if all of it's solved, but I think it's definitely completely thrown on the back burner. Yes. I think everybody will forget about that, at least for the time being, until they give a reason for it to come back up again. But if they lose, you know that's going to be a topic of conversation. Oh, Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni can't get over the hump. Is it because of the relationship being dysfunctional? You know that's going to be a topic of conversation.
I mean, yeah, it was a topic of conversation the last time. I'm more worried about if Jalen Hurts wants to move on from the Eagles, just because I think that he believes that he's a top 5 passer in the NFL and he wants to throw the ball more. He thinks he's 2022 version of Jalen Hurts, which I don't believe he's there anymore. I do believe there is some discourse there with how Jalen Hurts is seen in this offense. I do think he feels like he is undervalued and not used enough. I do think that, but I don't think it should cause discourse between the head coach and the quarterback when the offensive coordinator is the one that came in and changed everything.
I mean, we've seen other teams not be able to perfect the tush push. Why would he leave and jeopardize all of his rushing touchdowns?
And kill Cam Newton's record. He was holding on to that for 10 years.
Jalen Hurts isn't going to go anywhere. He's not going to leave the Eagles. I can't think of a quarterback that left winning to go throw more. I was racking my brain as you said that, and I can't think of one. I guarantee you Justin Herbert was more happy this year than he has been in his 4 years since making the playoffs.
But after you win the Super Bowl, does it kind of come on your mind? It's kind of like the NFL is not the NBA, but usually when an NBA player wins a championship, they think they can go and be the guy. So, could Jalen have the same outlook and be like, hey, I won a Super Bowl, handing the ball off, which I kind of want to get into here in a second, which I'll transfer into that. But I just think there might be something there where Jalen's like, I want to be the guy now. We won the Super Bowl the way that you wanted. I want to make a point that I can do it throwing the football. But speaking of the running ability with Saquon Barkley going into this game, and this is more talking about the Chiefs and how they can stop Saquon Barkley. I actually, because that's been a big topic of conversation this week, is how are the Chiefs going to do that? And I don't think the problem with Philadelphia or with the Kansas City Chiefs this week is going to be Saquon Barkley. I actually think he's set at 110 rushing yards right now, which I think is extremely high against a defense who recorded the lowest missed tackle rate in the NFL this year, which was even lower in the playoffs. And a part of that defense is Leo Chanel, who had only 2 missed tackles all season long. This defense is very on point, and I just feel like Saquon faced teams in the playoffs that are not as physical and not as, I guess, well coached as the Chiefs are. And that what the Chiefs do so well defensively is they take away your best weapon. It reminds me so much of the New England Patriots when they were winning Super Bowls. So I think the narrative around, is it going to be Saquon Barkley? Is Saquon Barkley going to win the Eagles the Super Bowl? Is he going to carry them? I think it's more of Jalen Hurts has to carry them. And I think he's going to have a repeat of 2022 for them to actually have an opportunity to win this game.
So the Chiefs' recent struggles against the rush don't terrify you a little bit because they've allowed I think it's 147 and 148 to the Texans and the Bills.
So the Bills, but if you remember with the Bills, James Cook only had 13 carries, but he averaged 6.5 yards per carry and 2 touchdowns. Why did he only have 13 carries in that game? It's because the Chiefs' offense is so efficient and scores so quickly that you cannot just hold the ball all game, and expect to win. I don't know how to beat them because you can't do that. You cannot. People are like, just keep the ball away from Mahomes. That doesn't matter because they'll score like that.
I don't think that's been the case all year. But this is the best Chiefs team this year. Like right now, this is the best they've been the entire season.
Yeah, that's
because they've got Pacheco, they've got D-Hop, they've got Hollywood Brown back. They obviously have had Kareem Hunt for a little while now, but they've got all those pieces now meshed together.
No, I mean, that's how it is every year. This is when they always play their best ball. That's what champions do. Like, every season, specifically this season and last season, the regular season, everyone was talking about how it was the downfall of the Chiefs. It was the downfall of the Chiefs. Their offense is stale. Their defense has been better, but their offense is terrible. And then you get into the playoffs, and it's the same Mahomes every year. And I'm wondering when people will just accept that that's how it is. The thing that interested me the most about this game was not Saquon Barkley, because I think he'll have a good game. And we'll get into predictions later. I don't think it'll matter. But anyways, I saw a stat that this year Patrick Mahomes had the highest target rate of behind the line of scrimmage at 27%. 27% of his passes were behind the line of scrimmage. In the past 5 years, the most passing yards of targets behind the line of scrimmage, 4 of those 5 have been Patrick Mahomes. So, and that's all time. So he had this year 851 yards where the ball was thrown at the line of scrimmage or behind. The only other person to do that was this year's Baker Mayfield. Okay. The Eagles have allowed the fewest yards per attempt and the lowest success rate on passes thrown behind the line of scrimmage. Interesting tidbit, I think, to take going into this game.
Yeah, I think Philadelphia's defense, that's the only thing that worries me about having like a classic, is like both of these defenses are super damn good. But at the same time, like, I just feel like both of these offenses are way too talented to be held for 4 quarters. So I think it's more of who gets it started, and I feel like it will start rolling right after that.
Well,
that's how I feel this game will go.
That's what happened last year. I mean, I think the over-under actually ended up hitting. I think it was like 45 in that Super Bowl. And there was no chance through 3.5 quarters of that thing hitting, and really and truly until it went to overtime. You talked about the Eagles, having a lot of pieces back from that previous Super Bowl team, from a couple years ago. They only returned 3 starters on defense, which is crazy. It's Josh Sweat, CJ.
Yeah, their defense changed a lot. Their offense kind of stayed the same, though, except for Saquon.
Which leads me into this. In my opinion, the most intriguing matchup for me personally is going to be Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis against Creed Humphrey and Joe Thuney. Whoever can control that matchup, I think will win this game. I really do. I know Chris Jones, going up against Landon Dickerson and Cam Jurgens, who are going to be hobbled in this game. I think he kind of has an edge there, but it might not matter as much because of how dynamic rushing the Eagles are. But I think that if Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis can really just push Creed and Joe Thuney, if they can win that battle, if they can dictate what happens in those trenches, I think that is going to be very crucial for the Eagles. And I think that is what could swing the pendulum in the Eagles' favor, is if they can control the trenches on that side of the ball.
Yeah, I also think that if you want to beat the Chiefs, you have to go back to 2020 when Tampa Bay did it. And that's exactly what you talked about. They won in the trenches. Now, granted, the Chiefs' offensive line was much worse, but it's been proven if your defensive line can get pressure on Mahomes and consistently be in his face all day, it's going to be hard for the Chiefs to win. And no team in the AFC who the Chiefs, I will say this, Houston did. But the problem with Houston is that they weren't good enough offensively. So now you're going against the team. See, now you're talking me into the Eagles because I've been saying all week I'm not going against Mahomes. But if you think about it, though, exactly like you said, if they can win up front and get pressure on Mahomes and basically copy what happened in 2020, obviously better offensive line, there's a chance the Eagles could win this game. Shaking your head, no.
I wouldn't
like
talk
it's
yourself
impossible.
Into it, but no, it's not. There's a reason it's a 1.5 point spread. And I
mean, it was 1.5 every year. It feels like, though.
I was actually looking at it. Funny enough, today was the however many year anniversary of the David Tyree catch. They were a 12.5 point dog in that game.
I wonder who bet on the Giants.
somebody had to have money line. But what happened in the last game? What was the point in the game that really cemented, or that you can look back and be like, oh, that's why the Chiefs won?
The fumble,
right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's how I feel like it's going to be in this game. It's going to be one of those turnovers, or it's going to be a fumble. Or if you remember at the end of the game, there was a penalty on Bradbury. Who commits that penalty this time? Because the Chiefs are, we can sit here and say, there isn't this conspiracy, this, that, and
there is.
I have a feeling that they're going, and it might be an obvious call. It might be an obvious hold or an obvious pass interference. You got two rookies at cornerback. And you don't think Mahomes is going to toy with them? I'm not saying.
Well, you're not toying with Mitchell. He gives up like a 4 passer rating in the playoffs. It's not happening. And I'll go out and say right now, he's not going to throw his way.
He hasn't faced Mahomes. He hasn't faced Andy
He
Reid.
faced Jared Goff. He faced Jaden Daniels.
Matt Stafford, but yes.
Yeah, Matt Stafford. Excuse me.
In the
Either
snow.
way, that's even better for my case. Matt Stafford and Jaden Daniels. I don't personally believe that. I don't personally the way that the Eagles have to win is that they can't let the Chiefs get to that point where it's like it's going to come to this call. It's going to come to this turnover. Like, you have to get a sizable lead and more than 10, because Mahomes has 3 wins in the Super Bowl being down 10 plus. So I don't know. I'm so back and forth in the second half, which is crazy. So it's like, what do you do to beat them? Do you go up 20? Is that like the only way you can beat this team? Like, force them into submission in like the third quarter? Because I don't know what the Eagles do, because they cannot keep it close if they want to win the game. They'll lose.
You got to be better coached, which is hard to do, and you've got to have a quarterback that can go bar for bar with Patrick Mahomes, and that is hard to do.
But he has done it.
Are you expecting that similar game from him again?
I don't know. When Jalen gets into that mode, dude, when he's in the playoffs and you need a bucket, Jalen is giving you that bucket 10 times out of 10.
I will say this, though.
Everywhere.
This Chiefs defense is much better than the Chiefs defense they faced 3 years ago.
I'd argue it's not. I don't know. Tell me how. Because I think they were way more talented in 2022 defensively. Who'd they have? They had Willie Gay on defense at linebacker. They also had the corner that went to Tennessee, L'Jarius Sneed. And I don't think Trent McDuffie's as great.
There? Was Travarius Ward there too?
Or was he on the Niners?
Might have been on the Niners at that point.
I don't remember.
Either way, I think they were more talented in 2022. Defensively.
I just think statistically, which I know Jalen Hurts is like exceptional against the blitz. But watching their blitz dial up this, like, especially if you go back and watch that Bills game, it made more sense to me after seeing some plays. That last play on the 4th and 5, they had shown that look 3 times that game and not blitzed out of it. They had shown that 6-man front 3 times. It did not blitz out of it. That's what was in Josh Allen's head.
I agree, but I'm not worried about it, because exactly what you said, Jalen Hurts is the best quarterback in the NFL against the blitz, which brings a huge advantage point to the Eagles. And I was doing so much research on that. I'm like, how did they? So what the Eagles did last year is they were terrible against the blitz. The year that they went to the Super Bowl, they were awesome against the blitz. And since Jalen Hurts entered the league in 2020, only 3 other quarterbacks have a higher career EPA per dropback versus the blitz in games against Spagnuolo than Hurts. And Hurts' EPA per dropback against the blitz in the Super Bowl last time is also tied with Tom Brady's Super Bowl LV performance for the highest mark in those terms against any Spagnuolo-coordinated defense. He can beat Spagnuolo.
I have some breaking news. Cooper Kupp is going to be traded.
Wait, what?
Cooper Kupp just tweeted, I was informed that the team will be seeking a trade immediately and will be working with me and my family to find the right place to continue competing for championship.
Do we got Ian Rappaport on the show right now?
He tweeted it?
Yep. Cooper Kupp just tweeted it.
Oh, wow.
So that's huge news. So now you're breaking up Cooper Kupp and Nakua. These are players that aren't playing this week, but that breaking news just came in. So
it's not that big of a deal anymore because Cooper Kupp's kind of lost his step. So it's not like
Yeah,
I mean, he could be a good two.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Like, he could go to a contender and provide a very significant force. I'm not saying he's going to sit there and get, 90 catches for 1,800 yards, but if you're getting something in the, 60 catch range and getting 900 to 1,000 yards, like, that's very serviceable for a wide receiver.
He screams Pittsburgh Steeler to me. He screams it.
I think whoever doesn't get T is going to go after him.
Yeah, I mean,
probably be the Panthers. The Panthers will end up with another 32-year-old.
Yeah, you'll have Adam
receiver,
Thielen and Cooper Kupp
and Jalen Coker, which he's mixed, but he's still very light skinned.
Dude, you guys are like the Eagles, and you guys are really breaking down the barriers for white athletes.
We're DEI initiatives, bro.
Trump got rid of that, so you guys can't do that anymore.
Let me ask you a basic question: who does this Super Bowl mean more for?
I mean, the Eagles.
Chiefs. I think it's Chiefs.
Are we talking about team or quarterback? Because
team.
Chiefs.
You're
going down in the history books. One of one, never been done before.
Yeah, but the Eagles have a chance to stop that, though. Like, that would be such a big accomplishment.
Yeah, but when we
that's
think,
like kind of like the undefeated season thing.
When we think back to Eli and the Giants, are we like, or are we just kind of like, well, he got him twice? You know what I'm saying? Like, great wins.
Yeah, but the Eagles stopped the Tom Brady dynasty, right? I don't know.
No, they didn't.
They
won.
Lost.
Okay. But they did beat Tom Brady, and they would have beat Patrick Mahomes during their best years, Super Bowl-wise. Kind of a big deal. Not
as big as 101 3-peat.
I understand both sides.
Yeah, for sure.
I lean the 3-peat because, in my opinion, okay, this can segue into the next question. Is Patrick Mahomes the greatest of all time if he wins?
Yes. Not even a question, not hesitating. You cannot change my mind. He will be Aaron Rodgers.
I'm not saying going to be. I'm saying
he is.
If he wins on Sunday, at that point in time right there, is he the greatest quarterback?
Yes, he will. If he wins on Sunday, he is what Aaron Rodgers was supposed to be. He will have the rings and the talent. He three-peated, which Tom Brady has never done. Or I don't even know if they came close. I don't even think they came close.
They went back-to-back with the Panthers and Eagles.
So here's my argument for Mahomes as the GOAT, because at this point, like, people are gonna be like, oh, it's too premature, but it's really not. Patrick Mahomes has won 3 Super Bowls in which his team has trailed by at least 10 points, the most all time. All other quarterbacks in NFL history only have 4 combined. So if he does that again, that means he ties the amount. So that would make him the GOAT automatically. Patrick Mahomes will join Tom Brady and John Elway as the only quarterbacks in NFL history to start at least 5 Super Bowls, and Mahomes will become the first to do so before his 30th birthday. If Mahomes wins Super Bowl MVP, he will join Shaquille O'Neal and Michael Jordan as the only players to win the championship MVP in 3 consecutive seasons among all players in the Big 4 sports. So, he will literally be on the same stratosphere as Michael Jordan and Shaquille O'Neal. We're talking 2 different sports now.
Here's
doubt.
There's been way too much NBA talk on this pod today.
Yeah, get it out of here. The NBA stinks.
Yeah, it's terrible.
The only good thing that came out of the NBA was the Fergie national anthem a few years ago. That's it.
Elite.
Forgot about that.
The distinction that I think needs to be made here is, like, we're talking, like, it's hard. GOAT to me means legacy, and a part of that is winning, like, and longevity. So this is hard for me to say. LeBron is probably the GOAT at this point. Like, I think that's pretty fair to say. Now, if you want to ask me who was the best player in their prime of all time, I'm going to go Michael Jordan. Like, I would take Michael Jordan in 96 over LeBron. That's just me. But we're talking GOAT. We're talking this man's at 40 playing in the NBA. So I kind of see it the same way. To me, Mahomes is already the best player that has ever played in the NFL. Just my opinion. Is he the GOAT? I think he still needs that longevity. You know, he needs that 8 more years, a couple more Super Bowls. So it's just,
if he were to, but if this is completely hypothetical, but let's say they were to win I don't know, however many straight to get him over the Brady hurdle. Like if they were to win 5 straight.
Yeah, bro. If he wins 5 straight, I'll give it to him.
Yeah,
sure.
But 3 straight should be in that same stratosphere, though. 3 straight is insane.
It is. He's just too young for me at this point.
Did you guys listen to this? This is such it's a minor stat, but it's a huge stat. He's had 1 turnover-worthy throw since he threw the pick against the Bengals in the AFC Championship.
Not a real stat. Don't care.
No, that is a real stat. Turnover-worthy throws are real.
Not a real stat. Don't care.
That should mean more than interceptions. I'll say that.
He's trailed 9 times in the fourth quarter of the playoffs. He's won 6 of those 9. He lost in OT to the Patriots when he never saw the ball. He lost in OT to the Bengals when he threw the interception, and then he lost in the Super Bowl to the Bucs. That's it.
Okay, so we've had all this talk. Let's hear it. Let's just get to the meat and potatoes. Who we think's winning? What scores?
Wait. I want to ask this, and this is my rebuttal to Brady being over Mahomes. Is Brady beat him twice?
Don't care. Don't matter.
Head-to-head does not change my opinion.
Don't matter.
But you mean to tell me that has
team
no
versus
bearing?
team versus team. Mahomes outplayed Brady in those games too.
But see, that's where I think GOAT and better is a determining factor, because we're saying because he won 3, he's the GOAT. But
I'll settle it right now. If you had a chance to take Tom Brady in his prime or Mahomes in his prime, who are you taking? That is the GOAT. If you had to start a franchise over and you need one guy and you get to pick.
If you have one guy to go down and win you a game, who you taking?
They're both, honestly, they're on the same level. They're equal.
Dude.
Like give me either
close. One. They've both done it in Super Bowls. Like they're tied.
I'm probably going Mahomes specifically because of mobility. He's had a lot of big plays.
And the refs.
Yeah. He kisses all the refs on the mouth.
All right, let's predictions. Let's do predictions.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead. Go ahead. I'll let you guys go. Let me go last because it really is going to take me until last second to make my decision.
I'll go first. Easy peasy.
I wrote mine down, but
easy peasy. 28-25 Chiefs. Easy.
That sounds like a Chiefs Super Bowl. That's such a lazy prediction.
It was 38-35 last time.
No, 28-25. I think it'll be.
I'm saying it was 38-35 in the last Super Bowl.
I think it'll be a little lower scoring just because I think both defenses are a little better, but that's my prediction. It's boring, but that's what it's going to be, man. Read the writing on the wall. They'll be down 7, and he'll score, and then they'll go and kick a game-winning field goal with 47 seconds left.
I hate how right you are. All right.
It's crazy because you said that it'll be lower, it's going to be a lower scoring game, but that would still hit the over. Like the over is 49.5.
Then why don't we just put our whole mortgage on the over?
Because I have it.
And then we don't have to bet against Mahomes.
23. God, I hope not. I hope there's 2 scores every quarter.
23-17. Eagles have the ball with 2 minutes left, and they get into field goal range, but they can't get a touchdown. And the Kirk Cousins curse lives on.
I think it's much higher scoring, and I kept going back and forth because I'm like, both of these defenses are good, but both of these offenses are way too talented. I just think offense is going to outweigh. I'm going 37-30 Chiefs. I think they win by 7.
Dang.
I
hope so.
Everybody says that the Eagles are just way too this is the first time I'm hearing like people say like the Eagles should actually win this game like pretty handedly. Like I've heard that multiple times, and I can't because the Eagles to me have not proven that they can keep up throwing the ball consistently, and the Chiefs take away Saquon. Hot take too. I think Saquon has his worst game of the season in this game because the Chiefs are going to force Jalen Hurts to throw the ball.
Let me ask you this. On paper, and forgetting how it turned out, who was on paper the overall better team last year in the Super Bowl?
49ers
or Chiefs?
It was yeah.
True.
Please, old wounds. Yeah,
it's
it
close.
was the Niners.
And a lot of people were saying Niners. Yeah.
It was. Honestly, it wasn't that close.
Honestly,
that was the worst Chiefs team.
You could go back. Yeah, I would agree with you. I'm not going to say you could go back and look at every single Super Bowl and say that, but there's an argument that you could say the better, in all the Chiefs Super Bowl wins, the better team on paper didn't necessarily win.
Outside of the offensive line, the better team on paper in the Super Bowl they lost was them.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah, I agree. I do have one more question, and this kind of just popped into my head, but what narrative are you guys going to hate the most if one team loses? So let's say a narrative for the Chiefs and narrative for the Eagles, like, which one are you, like, for me, the narrative that I'm absolutely going to hate is going to be the Nick Sirianni, Jalen Hurts stuff again. Is there, like, a narrative where you guys are, like, absolutely going to throw up if one of these teams loses?
If the Eagles lose, the narrative is going to be the Chiefs haven't lost the Super Bowl since Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift started dating. And I'm going to want to beat my head on the wall, dude.
Yeah,
I haven't even thought of that.
It'll be 2-0.
And he's going to propose, right?
Yeah, dude.
No, we thought that last year. I don't think.
Yeah, they were dating for 4 months last year. This time it's been like a year. They're in there now, bro.
No. There's no chance. He's that lame.
I hate to
see
say
that
it,
lame.
If the Eagles lose, I don't know if there's a headline that I'm not gonna like. Like, I'm gonna be fine. Like, if the Eagles win, I'm gonna hate every single headline. Oh, Nick Sirianni, greatest coach in Eagles history. Jalen Hurts, where does he rank? Is he a top 3 quarterback in the league?
Though, Nick Sirianni might be the greatest Eagles head coach of all time.
And if he loses, Doug Peterson's still better. So.
Yeah. Honestly, if you take it into account, he won with Nick Foles.
My boy on the other side of the field was better than him, even though he didn't get a championship.
Who?
Andy Reid.
Oh.
Yes.
Yeah.
Bird is the word.
Bird is the word.
Everybody get their bird is the word in there?
Yeah, we can end with bird is the word.
Let's end with bird is the word.
That's a good one. All right, let me pull this up.
Oh, wait, real quick. Do you guys have a prediction for next year's Super Bowl?
Oh, good
question. Right now, before we get into any offseason, any draft, any everything.
I'm not picking the Ravens.
Just gut feeling.
Chiefs, and man, I want to say the Eagles again, but I know that's not going to happen. Chiefs, Rams. I'm going to go Chiefs, Rams.
I thought about the Rams.
I'm going off the wall just to throw something because that's what I like. I'm going to go Chargers out of the AFC. And let's go
Chargers.
Yeah, let's just have a fun one out there.
They dethrone the Chiefs? That would be insane.
Are they going to win the AFC West too?
No, they get in as a wild card.
Ooh.
Even more insane.
And then out of the NFC, I have no idea who could beat them out of the NFC. Let's go Bucks. Go Bucks.
Okay.
And wouldn't you hate that?
I would shoot myself. Yeah, I would hate that.
All right, who's this?
This is me. This was
Ravens Packers.
Ravens Packers would be elite, but it's not going to happen. You already know it's not going to happen, dude. Yeah, you just.
I'm going to pick the Ravens to make the Super Bowl every year until they make the Super Bowl.
Well, it's not going to happen.
Keep doing it.
Who makes the Super Bowl first, Lamar or Josh?
Neither.
One of them.
It's going to be Burrow.
One of them's going to do
No,
it.
It will be like C.J. Stroud. It will be some fucking stupid.
Next year, Justin Herbert will make the Super Bowl, and then the next 8 years, the Mahomes and the Chiefs will make it in again.
Yeah, Matt, why didn't you stay with your Texans pick?
Yeah, I guess I could, but I'm not betting against the Chiefs in the playoffs. I said the Texans could have the best record in the AFC. I didn't say they could win the Super Bowl. Huge difference.
Very true.
Huge. All right, so Noah had Patrick Mahomes has never lost a game indoors. He's never lost a game indoors.
Look at the record.
Ever?
Look at the record.
15-0.
That's a full season,
brother.
That's a full season. That's why this Super Bowl is going to the Chiefs.
Wait, the Super Bowl against Tampa was in Tampa, which is outside. That is wild.
Undefeated.
And that's.
That means he's due, though. It means he's due.
That's not just right. That's not just playoffs or
That's everything. That's a nutty stat.
Wild.
All right, let's go to Tyler. League officials are considering implementing an electric system to measure first downs next season. I love this. I don't see a problem as long as it doesn't take it over completely.
Well, the big takeaway from this for me was it wouldn't be a Chiefs-Bills playoff game if there wasn't a
rule change.
Change the rules to the league because the Bills lost.
This is much more minor than we have to change the overtime rules, which was a good change, by the way. The overtime rules were a good change.
But the Chiefs lost to the Patriots in overtime. They didn't change it then.
I would have been fine if they did. It sucked.
Yeah, people did complain about it.
Yeah,
I remember.
Yeah,
I hate this dude.
I know, I hate him too.
He's terrible.
There's a shit ton of people that were talking about it. But that was the first one, so I was like, fuck it, I'm just gonna put it in here. But I just love that there's so many Saints and Rams. Oh, we got to change the pass interference call because
and that was terrible.
We're gonna review pass interference calls now, and it's just like, why do we have to drastically make a change because of one instance, because of one thing happening? I agree with this, but it's just like, this is what it's come to, that we have to do it now. Like, it's like, oh, we're going to get all controversial about a first down spot, so now we have to go ahead and change it.
It's on the biggest stage, though.
I think they've been working on this for a while, though. They've already had this technology games. In preseason. They've been working on it. I think it was just coincidence.
Yeah, it's the straw that broke the camel's back. I get it, but it's like, why does it have to come to this for us to do this? Why
I agree. I don't know if they talk about it more. I don't know if it's a big headline if the Bills don't. I think it's more amplified just because the Bills, but I do think it probably would have happened.
If the Bills win that game, is this talked about?
Yes.
It still happens. It still happens.
It still happens.
Talked about? I don't know.
Is it okay?
Because they'll say the Chiefs tried to cheat again and they couldn't do it this time. It doesn't matter, like that whole narrative. All right, last one. Then we got head off, starving. All right, this one's the one that I had. The only way the NFL will notice we have enough of the rigging is to hit them where it hurts. And it's a boycott photo. So, I want to show this because, as you can see, this guy, Bills Mafia, I wonder what fan he is and why he might be boycotting this. But
the good news is the Bills are boycotting. They're not going. Their team will not be there.
So they boycott every year like the Ravens do.
Technically, he's not lying. Like, technically, they are going to boycott.
Yeah, he hit them exactly where it hurts. They just bowed out. They just said, we're done. We're not going to go to a Super Bowl because we don't want the NFL to win.
Exactly.
We don't want them to win. But I just thought it was hilarious that everybody is saying they're not going to watch the Super Bowl. If you say that, you are some kind of person.
You're not a real football fan.
Well, number one, they're lying and they're doing it for attention. Because
should we do an experiment with our pod? Should one of us not watch it?
Hell no.
And then come on and try and talk about it.
You volunteered.
Okay, I'll watch Oppenheimer. I'm fine with that. It's a 3-hour movie.
There is no way. Do you think you could do it? If someone said, I'll give you $1,000 not to watch it, would you guys do it?
For a G-bar? Yeah, I'm not watching it.
I don't think I can do it.
You could give me $5 and I'd probably do it.
Okay, come on. Dude, the drinking, the food, you can't entertain any of that stuff. Like, you have to stay in your house.
Dude,
no chance.
I would create a drinking game to Oppenheimer.
Why
can't I drink and eat still? I can still do
but
stuff.
You can't like rub out on the same shit and feel like shit, but you really don't feel like shit because you're watching the Super Bowl. Now you're just laying in bed being a piece of shit at that point,
Well, I'll say this. Catch me a couple hours before watching that Puppy Bowl, though. I'm pretty amped for that.
I don't think I've ever watched that.
All right, that'll do it for us today, guys.
Yeah, we've gotten to
Thanks for hanging out.
Talk. Yeah, thank you guys. Appreciate you guys. We'll be back next week. I guess we're all going for the Chiefs. So next time you see us, we'll have a new Super Bowl champion, hopefully. Actually, no, we won't. We'll have the Chiefs again. But
yeah, let's go Chiefs.
Okay. All right. I'm out.